basically, two banks are, connecting a switch. It is new and complex. Therefore, a lot of people want to understand, what can I do in ONDC? What is my role? What's my use case in ONDC? How can I participate? How can I make money? What once I become live, well, will I get my order? What do I need to do? What's my roles and responsibilities? A lot of questions. So one bucket is new and complexity of the ONDC itself. The second bucket is the technology needed for it is wide and varied. It basically it goes if you look at our technology stack, just it has application layer, middleware, and the ONDC network layer. ONDC network layer is something completely new for a lot of people, because it is not a network, it is not a platform. ONDC is not a platform. This is something that we talk about in almost all the webinars that we do. It is a network. That's the first thing that everyone needs to realize. It's a network, right? And therefore there's a network layer which comes into picture in the technology stack and the technology solution. So that's the second bucket that we have found. Third is, primarily, if you look at the certification process of ONDC, has its own journey kind of stuff, right? And that takes time, and it can take 6 to 9 months or even 12 months, right? And that we crunch that down to like 2 weeks, right? And so basically these three buckets that we have seen. And there are the other challenges, and I'm happy to delve into a lot of other challenges that seller feels, the buyer feels, and how I think we can talk about AI in the in the subsequent. So how AI can help in those challenges. Yeah. Uh, I'm I'm not able to hear. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I think I was on mute. So can you also help us understand what role does Plotch.ai play
Yeah.
here in the solving these challenges, and if you have anything to showcase, that
Sure.
visually helps the audience understand.
Sure. So basically, Plotch.ai is India's largest ONDC Rails infrastructure provider, right? That's basically how we describe ourselves now. Of course, it has, it may not be, it's very a little bit, it may be hard to understand what that means, but primarily if you look at, as I said, ONDC is new, technology is a bit complex, certification takes time. What we do is we simplify and accelerate any enterprise who want to join ONDC, their journey in ONDC, right? And how do we do it? Primarily, we provide pre-built ONDC Rails infrastructure. Now, usually this is the analogy I give. If ONDC is a river, right? ONDC it's a two-sided network. First thing is that if you realize it's two-sided network. One side you have buyer apps, another side you have seller apps, right? Buyer apps bring traffic into the network, seller apps bring supply into the network. Now, if you look at ONDC as a river of commerce, right? On one side of the bank, you have sellers who want to sell. Another side of the bank, you have buyers who want to buy, right? You need ports, you need bridges, you need boats, so that buyers can go to the seller side and seller can go to the buyer side. We are the port builders, we are the boat builders, we are the bridge builders here, right? That's how you have to look at us. Therefore, we enable, if someone wants to do transactions, someone wants to join, and so we basically accelerate and simplify that journey. Again, I think, sorry, Ansha, I think you're mute.
You want to showcase us something?
Yeah, I'm happy to showcase few of the products that we have. One sec. Okay. So if you look at our product site, okay, so basically, I'll tell you what we have is, we have multiple. Basically, if you look at ONDC, right, you need buyer app solutions, you need seller app solutions, right? And so we provide a full stack, technology solution, which basically comes pre-bundled as a single technology solution, which clients like Bisho have taken and gone live within like 4 weeks, right? And basically it comes with the application, it comes with the ERP, it comes with the network layer that I talked about, right? And then we have built payment solutions so that in the example, right, it's a two-sided network. The buyer apps collects a payment primarily, right? But the seller is on the other side, right? So buyer app needs to pay to the seller app so the seller can be paid. So there's a payment product that we have built. Now, let's say, a customer ordered a pizza and it was, turned out to be bad, right? The grievance that customer will have needs to be registered on the buyer app, has to be communicated to, let's say, the pizza, it's come from Pizza Hut, has to be communicated till to the Pizza Hut so that the grievance can be resolved, right? So there's this note desk product that we have so that the grievances can be managed, right? We basically have, for example, other products which are coming up is a ratings product, right? Because each and every participant in ONDC network is going to get rated, right? So there's a ratings product that we are building. So this host of these solutions is what creates the ONDC rails to which these clients like Misho, IDFC First Bank, and Paytm has connected to our rails.
Awesome. I think this kind of gives an overview to the audience that what kind of a solutions they are looking at. But I'll take this moment to kind of pull back and establish the prominence of open networks itself in the digital landscape today. Why do you feel open networks are maybe to the future of the digital landscape going ahead?
Oh, basically, see, open networks have their own challenges, but a lot of a lot of benefits, right? Now, one of the biggest benefit, which sort of is underestimated or not looked at as such a big thing, is access, right? And giving access to people who today are not able to access anything digitally, right? Kind of stuff. So UPI is a clear example, right? UPI made so easy to access that even today, a vegetable vendor is using it and those kinds of, right? So that kind of access is what open networks give, because it's open. It's in the name of this is open network, right? Anyone can participate, kind of stuff, right? Second thing is basically it gives control to the seller, right? So basically a seller can, any provider, not seller, or just anyone who is providing services or products can have control on the price, control on the catalog, control on the inventory and those kind of stuff, right? Which is a big aspect, which has unlocked, for example, how Namma 3 has come up, right? Because it gave control to the auto rickshaw wala that you basically have to collect the payment, you decide what you want to charge and nothing, right? So we will not come into picture. The control is another big thing which is very, very impactful. And the other things like setting, I'm able to set my own price. I am basically able to set my own type of promotions that I want to offer. A lot of other things, like for customer is a lot of choice. Suddenly your whole neighborhood is visible to you online, right? That's kind of choice. The density of product which is expected to be in open network compared to a platform is going to be 100x. So for example, if a platform is providing you 100 products per 500 meters around you, 100 meters, right? The open networks will provide that 10,000. Like there's a 100x choice which has come up to customer. A lot of other benefits. Those are the few benefits I thought I'll highlight.
Yeah, I mean, when as soon as you go into an open network, you are in an open sea. Everything for the buyer can access any seller, and the seller can access any buyer. That kind of a freedom that open networks bring to us is like, I think that is why we call it the future of the internet. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Taking away from the monopolies of
Yes.
uh, I mean, big e-commerce giants, not naming them, but everybody is aware who they are.
Yeah, yeah.
So great. So I think this is, since we are talking, this focusing more on the technical aspect of getting ONDC enabled in this session. I would also want to ask you, how has technology shaped up, or what role has technology played in the evolution of these open networks over the time?
Yeah, so basically, as I said, the first enabler for anyone is the technology. Technology, because ODC is new. These technologies are what we getting created today is new. It is an Indian innovation, which basically is looking to go global. It's the first time, not the first time, but it is a large population scale, Indian innovation, which is likely to go global, right? So India is creating these technologies. India is becoming the bedrock of these technologies, right? So technology plays a big influence. And I know one of the things that we are doing and probably we'll cover that later, is how AI is going to give the access. For example, one of the products that we are building is voice enabled commerce, right? So that's someone who speaks Hindi and someone and wants to buy a Kanjivaram sari from someone who speaks Tamil on the other side can basically transact through voice, no touch, just transact through voice or through conversational commerce or those kind of stuff. So a lot of interesting things technology is bringing. Also, there's a lot of interplay of networks that we are also looking at. See, ONDC is not just a network now; it is a network of networks. Right? There's a mobility network, there's a retail network, there's a fintech network. If retail, I got as a seller, I got a large order, large B2B order. I want to get lending for it, right? So I can go into the fintech network and become a borrower, right? That interplay, right, is also going to get enabled by technology, and it's going to unleash a lot of new possibilities. So yeah.
So I would like to quickly mention how Beckn plays a role here. Beckn,
Yes.
Beckn is basically the underlying principle or the protocol on which ONDC is based. And if you put it simply, Beckn, in ONDC's context, we talk a lot about the buyer and a seller app to put it in a context, but Beckn in itself enables and freedom of decentralized economic transactions or decentralized digital commerce. That commerce can be anything that has any asset that has a commercial value and can be bought or sold, be it energy, it can be mobility, it can be selling goods on ONDC, like, Kanjivaram saris, like Manoj was just mentioning. So when I am talking today, we are taking ONDC as an example of how open networks work, because this is one of the biggest open networks we are seeing in India, which is live. However, most open networks, ONDC is just like I said, is an example. However, all the principles that Manoj discusses today are applicable to any backend enabled open network, be it honest or the unified energy interface. So it's not just ONDC. Feel free to get in touch with Manoj in case you want to, participate in the energy network that Beckn is creating, or the digital education and skilling version of which is the honest network that is also Beckn enabled. So just wanted to put it out there. Now coming back to the discussion that we were having, Manoj. So in this open network context, we'll keep taking ONDC's example. People can play various roles. One can be a buyer, one can be a seller. You, for example, Plotch.ai, we usually give them the reference of a technical service provider. There are also business service providers. Can you help us expand on that, and what kind of people can choose what roles to play? And how does these playing their different roles? Buying and seller, I think is pretty obvious for people to understand, but especially the BSPs and the TSPs that we talk about.
Yeah, yeah. No. Basically, as I said, ONDC is a new playground. So new leaders, new opportunities are coming up, right? So if you look at the whole ONDC ecosystem, right? So buyer app and seller app are called network participants. Basically, they are participants who are becoming part of the network, and these are primarily nodes in the network, which basically help the seller on the other side and the buyer on this side to transact, right? To basically connect to each other. So that's basically buyer app and seller app role, right? Then comes people like us who are a TSP, technology service provider, who are providing the technology rails, through technology solutions, are providing, AI solutions and a lot of other things. So we are called TSPs, technology service providers, right? Then they basically reconciliation RSPs, reconciliation service providers, right? Which basically help in getting the payment from one end of the network to the another end of the network. These are the network payments we are talking about. They are not the payment gateways like cash free or PayU and those kind of stuff. These are network payments. So one network node has to pay to another network. So RSPs come into picture. Then basically ODRs, like online dispute resolution. So you can be ODR because there are 4 level escalations which can happen in ONDC. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Like ODR is another, one of the entities who basically help resolve the queries between the buyer and the seller kind of stuff, right? Then basically there are rating service providers, right? So if I give rating, there's the people who take these ratings and store in a blockchain, and that blockchain is basically aggregating the ratings, and someone needs ratings, you give it to. So there's a rating service provider in that, right? And And there, then basically comes people who are building, apps, building who are, building, like, for example, people are taking APIs and building, storefront. So there's a whole developer ecosystem, which basically is developing on the top of the rails that we and people like us have built, right? So yeah, multiple roles people can play. It is not just that, you can be a buyer app and seller app kind of stuff. There are a lot of people need help in catalog upload. How can I photo shoot, catalog upload, and those kind of stuff. A lot of people need help in merchandising, promotions and those kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a very wide ecosystem.
Uh, so we understand that various roles that people can play. Can you also briefly touch upon the economic aspects of playing these various roles? How is an open network essentially helping? Let's say if I am a seller today and you are a buyer, I can send you my goods through, let's say, Dunzo, any delivery partner, right? I will brokerage a deal with them probably as a seller, please send my goods at this much rate and what. How being in an open system, how are all these different levels of participants collaborating together, and how is it more economically feasible than doing probably a one-on-one contract or something like that?
Yeah. See, open network gives choices for seller also. Different buyer apps have different commissions, right? The buyer apps charge commission. It's called a buyer finder fee. So, someone will charge like 3%, someone will charge 5%. As a seller, I can say I will only pay 3% commission. Right? That's basically what they can say. So to the 5% guy, the products will not be visible, or will not, the order will not come, right? So there's a filtering I've done that only 3% is something that I will give, right? Now, if you look at the whole e-commerce, right? E-commerce, primarily two major challenges that e-commerce has. One is the marketing economics, and another is the logistics economics, right? These are primarily will take like 25-30% of your margins, right? This primarily, that's where we have seen last decade. With marketing, what is happening is that people like Paytm are coming, people have phone pay are coming, they already have a huge number of customers. The incremental customer acquisition cost for them is very little. Like recently, no brokerhood came, right? Or people like MyGate may come in future, right? Or people like Vodafone, Airtel, they already have customers. They, or Z5 may come in later, right? So they already have customers. For them, the incremental customer acquisition cost is very, very minimal. So marketing cost in the whole network becomes very, very small. On the seller side, if you look at it, right? Now, these seller apps basically who are gateway to for the seller are basically, they don't have to worry about marketing, they don't have to worry about, customer care, all those things. It's very, very, because buyer app is taking complexity of operation has gone down 50%. So their commission can actually go down from that perspective, right? So the whole network and the logistics efficiency, right? Because ONDC also has a on-network logistics where all the logistics providers are coming. There's already, more than I think 7-8 logistics companies already there. Just imagine, local courier companies coming who can provide very, very good service at a local level, maybe not at national level, at half of the cost, right? Uh, what we are seeing in the network cost for a seller versus a platform cost is probably going to be half. That's what we are saying, right? So if you're paying for Amazon 40%, you probably will pay 20% in ONDC, right? So that extra 20% is huge for a lot of these sellers because it just increases the margin.
That makes complete sense. Usually there is a lot of I especially wanted to touch base upon this question because although people understand the fact that everybody is discoverable, and on paper they understand the advantages that an open networks brings in, but for a person who's sitting there to do business, they also want to kind of explore the economic aspect of
Yes, yes,
why is an open network better than the traditional model that they have, that we have
yes.
seen. Just to further this case, can you also share some examples with us of people who have benefited from ONDC? And I think we also have a question in the chat box. Do we have any early stage buyer app that is leveraging Plotch products? So
Yeah, we have basically Spice Money, we have NovoPay, we have Misho, we have IDFC First Bank, we have so buyer app side we have multiple. Now and these are of different sizes. Like Misho is like is the third biggest, e-commerce company in India. Spice Money is a fintech company. Now, Spice Money is an example I want to give, right? Because it is a fintech company which does assisted commerce in tier two, tier three towns. That's basically what we do. So if you are a villager and you want to withdraw, Aadhaar based, withdrawal, AEPS is what they call. So these adhikaris basically, which Spice Money has like probably 2 million or 3 million adhikaris, who basically help these villagers to basically do fintech, to buy, to get a ATM withdrawal, all those things. Spice Money has then taken the same network, distribution network, and said that on this top I will do assisted commerce, but for that I will leverage ONDC, right? So what they have done is that they beautifully, taken the same network and said on top of assisted fintech, I will do assisted commerce, and that has, played out well for them, right? So there are a lot of other examples, where people are starting to discover that with ONDC, suddenly my e-commerce, I can do e-commerce because my 50% headache is actually on the other side, right? If you look at what ONDC has done is your B2C business, the B part has gone to the one part, which is the business part, the seller part, and the C part, has gone to the other side. Right? So suddenly your B2C is split into B and C with 50% on this side, 50% on this side. So people can do a lot more things. Banks can start to do e-commerce, right? Which they cannot think of. Vodafone, telco companies can start thinking about it. Entertainment companies, content companies like ShareChat can start thinking about. Neighborhood companies like MyGets can start thinking about. These people today, if before ONDC couldn't have thought about it.
Makes complete sense. Thank you for sharing the examples with us. And I think till now we have covered basics of ONDC, like why of ONDC, how to get started with ONDC. There is also, especially talking about the technological aspects, even ONDC is trying to incorporate more and more things, and just to increase the user experience for everybody involved. When I say user, I am talking about every participant present in the ONDC ecosystem. One such thing that we've been hearing about is AI enablement in ONDC, like you also kept mentioning. I think we will brief then. I think we're moving towards the next part of the session, wherein we are talking about the technological advancements coming onto the ONDC network itself, and what more opportunities is ONDC going to open up. So let's start with the next big thing, probably right now. AI is the huge thing in the market, and with generative AI, people are seeing a lot of applications all across the market, not just ONDC. So I think ONDC wants to venture into an AI chat enabled or AI voice enabled commerce. Can you help us understand how is AI boosting the commerce aspect of ONDC in general?
Oh yeah, multiple ways. So basically, I'll tell you. It's the same example. So in my view, AI, ONDC will be the biggest adopter of A- AI in India. And the real AI, generative AI, all those things are still solving some problem. There's still social problems that we have, right? And social problems in the sense that from the context of commerce, people should be able to buy and sell seamlessly. Can AI help in that? Definitely, right? So we realize that people is basically a country. India is a country of multiple languages with people who somehow are not able to. They don't. If you look at it, India, people don't like typing. They can't type. So even on WhatsApp, they will put on the voice and say, this is so voice is a good medium for them. It's very simple and those kind of stuff. So voice based commerce is something that we are doing with Google, and we have already launched it, and we'll, of course, it's a beta version, but it's gonna be enhanced further. Is basically allowing anyone to buy and sell with just using voice. It's completely an AI product, right? The other use case that we are seeing is that sellers are, people who have not. Again, it is all about access, right? How do you got your first 10 crore people who are selling? What about the rest 40 crore who are not selling, right? Because they're not digitally capable, right? So they basically know how to, maybe they can shoot, do a photo shoot, right, of their whatever product they have, but writing a product name, writing the product description, what price they should set, is something that they can't think, for them is a difficult thing. So can you basically take the photo, enhance it, right? Which actually we are using, some of the Google APIs and AI products, right? Basically to enhance that image, right? So it becomes beautiful, right? I'm selling like a bag of potatoes. So can I, enhance it kind of stuff. Second thing is, can that, now this is where the generative AI comes in. Can they generate a good name for it, good description for it kind of stuff, right? Another thing that we are now starting to think is, can the price recommendation come from the AI? You know what? These are the Maggie is selling on these at this price. Your price probably should be this, right? Kind of stuff. So suddenly, for them, this okay, whether I should sell a Kanjivaram sari at a 4,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees, that headache is gone. So a lot of this seller side access is something that you're working on. AI on the buyer app side, I thought voice is another one thing that I talked about. There are a lot of enhancements. So the data which is coming on the other side of the network is not an enhanced. Can I do attribute enrichment so that I can show my customers more data compared to what I got from the other side, right? Again, AI comes into picture. There are a lot of other things I'm happy to talk about, but primarily these pieces are where we are working on, and I'm quite sure if you are looking at, if any one of you are looking at AI, look at ONDC, because real problems are there and you can solve these real problems using AI.
Yeah. And when we talk about voice-enabled commerce, India is a country of multiple languages. It's no particular individual just speaks English or Hindi, multilingualistic country.
Yes,
Are
yes, yes.
so tackling that?
Yeah, it's completely multilingual. So whatever local language, so you sell in Tamil and you buy in Hindi. And these buyers and sellers are able to communicate without touching anything and stuff. So that's basically is where we are, uh, that's the kind of product that we are building kind of stuff.
I mean, it was a very good point that Manoj mentioned, that if you are a startup or if you're trying to build on AI and looking for a problem to solve, rather than going out in the market with the access to an open network like ONDC, if you build a solution for today, you automatically have access to the entire ONDC's network to kind of selling it. So
Yes.
yeah, and also as a founder, I mean, I'm just trying to put it here, Antler also runs a specific community or a cohort for ONDC. So for funding purposes also, that is something, there is aid available for founders specifically building on ONDC. So
Yes.
yeah, this
Yes.
is,
Yes.
I believe, something really worth looking into.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So I think this is one thing, that how one technological part was how AI is enabling different participants in the network, be it buyer or be it a seller. There are also a couple of, when ONDC started, it just started as, enabling buyers and sellers. But now it is traversing into a lot more things. We have traversed into mobility, food, and whatnot. And now the newer things that are, kind of coming into pictures are finance, money lending, B2B transactions, ODR, online dispute resolutions, grievance resolution, online ratings, which is like decentralized ratings. So I think we should quickly touch base upon each of these things, so that, as new and new sectors open up, we can have more and more people participating and building upon those sectors, because commerce is not everybody. People just don't want, not everybody wants to have an e-commerce store or want to become a seller app. So I think the first thing here would be talking about the financial services that ONDC has kind of started. So what is happening in the financial services sector, especially money lending? I think we'll touch base upon B2B transactions later.
Yes. Yes. No, so financial services definitely is the newest network, a newest domain that ONDC has launched. Retail, then came logistics, then came mobility, and then financial services, right? In financial services, ONDC is thinking about three things. One is lending. Currently, I'm saying, of course, financial services is huge. Currently, money, basically lending, then insurance, and then investments like mutual funds, right? Kind of stuff. So there's three things that ONDC is looking at. They're starting with lending. In lending, basically the personal lending, so that a person I can look for lending, and or a GST based lending. If someone has a GST number and if they are filing returns, they can basically get lending a loan, in the financial services, right? And these are, designed as again as open network. So you as a borrower basically submits, whatever data you submit, like phone number, address, and PAN number, all those things. And then the lender gives you offer. Basically, based on the data, they may pull a credit bureau score and all those things. They may also pull your bank statement based on your consent, which the account aggregator framework that we have, those kind of stuff. And then basically everything is digitally done. There is no offline KYC. There is nothing offline here. The lending process is expected to get digitally completed with the disbursal in 8 to 10 minutes, right? It is like unbelievable. If you look at from like you can get loan like 8 to 10 minutes, right? So that's how it's designed, that within 8 to 10 minutes you get your loan in your bank, and all the process from eKYC, e-signing to consent based bank statement monitoring, all those things, to consent based GST data sharing, and everything does happens digitally. So that's the beauty of our financial services.
What are the ticket size we are looking at for these money lending right now? Is there a fixed ticket size or?
No, basically it is dynamic, but it is not expected that this is going to go into 1 crore, 10 crore kind of loan. It's going to be smaller ticket sizes from that perspective, like 10,000 rupees to probably outer extreme is like 10 lakh rupees. But primarily, in like 1 lakh to 50,000, 1 lakh around that number on average.
So, is have any of these are there since this is a very new thing, are there any examples or use cases or testimonies from people that you have come across of how
It's new. It's getting implemented to verifying it. In my view, I can't tell from ONDC perspective, but personally, I believe it might take 2-3 more months to go live in the network. So then the transactions will start to happen. Then use cases, more usage case will come. More, we'll have more examples. Yes.
Awesome. Sorry. Okay. So the next thing we want to move on is to B2B transactions. Can you help us understand what do we mean by, in the context of ONDC or open networks, what are these B2B transactions and how are they getting implemented? Essentially, a buyer interacting with a buyer. I mean, if you could just shed some light on it.
Yeah. No, completely. I'll tell you some data points, right? Only 1% of B2B is eB2B in India, right? In China, it's like 25-30%, right? So India can leapfrog from 1% to 25% with open networks like ONDC in B2B, right? And the B2B flows are a little bit different. B2B basically there's a purchase order flow, there's a request for quote flow, and then the purchase orders can be negotiated. The communication can happen between buyer and sellers. Plus, it is very different from a B2C where basically it's a very transactional. You do go to add to cart, you do payment, you're done, you get orders, right? Kind of stuff. So here there is communication between buyer and sellers. There's some kind of negotiation which happens. There's a RFQ process. There's a purchase order process. The payment can happen after the order has been delivered. Your one bulk order can be in multiple shipments. May not be just single shipment. If I order pizza, I don't expect it to be delivered at half right now, half later kind of stuff. But in a B2B scenario, it can happen, right? 100 pieces come right now, 100 pieces can come later, right? So then the chatting and all those things. So basically, B2B flow is a little bit different from a B2C. And it is again a feature that ONDC has launched. B2B is already live in retail. If anyone is looking for B2B solution, we are happy to help, or they can build. Yeah.
Great. I think B2B, for can you here, since B2B on retail is live, do you have any examples to share with us around how is it actually happening on the ground?
So unfortunately, I don't have, because we ourselves basically have just built the product, so the adoption is still happening. So those data points I don't have, but ONDC network it has, and unfortunately I don't have that data, because it's the data which individual NPs own,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. So when this is a question of the network participants, how is the data sharing enabled by ONDC here, or you can share one-on-one data with the network participants? if you'd like.
See, data is basically each NP owns the data. Basically, this is not a data which that's a network. Anyone can get access to anyone's data, right? Now, if they own the data, they can also share data with someone else if they want to, right? So that's where there is no restriction. But as a network, it is not a network data. It's not like that. Even the rating is seller's rating, right? Even if they change the seller app, the ratings go with them, which is different from Amazon and Flipkart, right? If you go from Amazon to Flipkart, you can't take your Flipkart rating and go to Amazon and say,
Yeah.
here, if you change your seller app, your rating is your data, so you take it with you, and it's not destroyed, kind of stuff.
Now, since you're mentioning about ratings, ONDC has also kind of launched online dispute resolution.
Yes.
How is that coming into picture? How is a dispute today? I understand that if I have a grievance with Amazon, I just go to their portal and kind of punch in my request, and it just gets done, or whatever their process is, it happens. How is it different in an open network setting?
So basically, for a customer, it's not different, right? Now, the whole grievance framework is designed as a level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4, right? Your level 1 is primarily a grievance. That's how we call it a grievance. Grievance can be, I'm not able to track my order. I did not get my refund. Usually it's usually 80% of the grievances are where's my order and where's my refund. That's how the e-commerce, if anyone you ask, 80% is bucket is that, right? Now, so this grievance is the customer goes to whichever buyer app they have bought from, like Misho, Paytm, or pin code, or whichever buyer app they have gone, right? For customer, I bought from Paytm, I go to Paytm to grievance. Even though the Pizza Hut has delivered, it's not my problem. I have go to Paytm kind of. So that process remains the same. Now, that grievance has to be resolved by the network, which means that buyer app, and seller, and that customer is not responsible to make sure that happens, right? This is between the network has to ensure. Let's say for some reason that doesn't happen, then it becomes an issue. That's level 2 is becomes an issue. The issue has to be managed by the grievance redressal officers. So as a buyer app and seller app, you have to appoint a GRO, which is a grievance redressal officer. So then basically your level 2 starts running. Even if they cannot resolve it, then third party comes into picture, which is the ODR, right? Which is where the grievance has now become a dispute, right? And the dispute has to be managed by ODR. So ODR is a third party, is not buyer app, it's seller app. And basically ODR helps through our online mechanism. They may ask for evidences and all those things, and then tell either a buyer app is a buyer's fault or a seller's fault, whatever the fault is. And then even if the buyer is not able to solve it, if the buyer is not satisfied with that, then becomes a court case and it goes out of, then it becomes a legal issue. So these are the level 4s which, ODC. And ODI is a level 3 escalation.
So ODR, I think, like you mentioned, it is these are multiple levels on a grievance addressal system in general, right? Where would you place reviews and ratings? Are they a part of the system too, or they are a separate reviews and ratings, like we said, decentralized ratings that we're talking about? Are they a part of different system?
Yeah. No, it's basically part of the whole. The ONDC has created these frameworks through which we all have to abide by. So reconciliation settlement framework, issue and grievance management framework, and ratings framework. Now ratings is basically it's important. So ratings service providers are there, which are basically have to register with ONDC. So you cannot be a third party without someone floating outside of the network. You have to be part of the registry, right? So if you are RSP, if you're an IGM, if you're providing rating services, you have to be part of the these kinds of stuff. So what happens is the buyer gives the ratings get stored in a blockchain, and whenever and seller basically owns that data. So if someone is requesting the rating, then the data can be shared with anyone who is requesting, kind of stuff. And yeah, so that's how the whole work. And it's blockchain, so multiple people connect to the blockchain and they get the same data. It's not like I am storing one set of data, another is storing data, centrally stored. but it's governed by a governing council. All those things is part of the blockchain framework. So I'll not get into that.
Makes sense. Thank you for sharing that. I think since this is a technical focused discussion, I think it only makes sense that we, from you as a technical expert on the ONDC network, what would you like to, share with developers who are, I mean, developers or CTOs for the companies who are trying to build a product on top of ONDC or open networks using Beckn in general? How do you, so I think it is a mental model problem also, wherein people don't know how open model works, open network works. Eventually, whenever you are talking to people who are, in the early stages of trying to explore this, they ultimately end up in the platform model of things. Ultimately, the questions and how we make money and the way of doing things end up becoming platform centric. So,
Yes.
what would be your advice to developers on how to approach backend enabled open networks or ONDC, and how to have that shift in their mental model? You have to, whatever you know till now, you kind of need to leave it behind and start afresh from the design principles, how you develop your UI, UX, everything.
Yeah. No, no, completely. Basically, as I said, only is a new playground, right? So what we are saying is, if you are dynamic, if you are, have a lot of energy, and if you want to experiment and those kind of stuff, ONDC gives you, an opportunity to play in this new playground and become a category leader, right? So you may be third or fourth in your, let's say it's whatever sector you are in ONDC, because you move faster and you adopt faster a new playground, you actually can become a category leader. So there may be new category leaders who will come in, from a UI UX perspective, from a technical perspective, hosting perspective also, right? If someone is third or fourth in hosting provider, so ONDC, everyone needs hosting services, right? Because you need to host your web apps. So for a lot of the developers, my only advice is look at it with very fresh eyes. There are a lot of opportunities. You can basically build a lot of applications which basically are and you can be a category leader, right? You can actually define how an ONDC network of the future will work to, by doing things today, right? And backend enabled, open networks. The good part is the core thing remains the same. Still backend, the protocol is backend. So once you get a hang of it, honest and and whatever, ONDC, even like UHI with unified health interface, UHI, sorry, unified health interface, which is coming up. All these are backend, the bedrock is backend. So basically, once you understand that part, it becomes easier for you to play in multiple of these, right? And create a solution which is neutral, so to the network, right? So for example, if you create a payment product for a backend enabled ONDC, the same payment product will also work in UHI. You just need to go and suddenly you start offering to. So build once, you deploy in all the networks. So that's basically the beautiful thing. Another beautiful thing is about ONDC is that ONDC is category agnostic, right? It's location agnostic, business model agnostic, right? Pretty much everyone you talk to is your client. Pretty much that happens, right? If I talk to FMCG company, manufacturing company, content company, your e-commerce marketplaces, B2C businesses, logistics companies, talk to anyone, is your potential client, right? So which means that opportunities for you to grow is much, much more. Of course, a lot of people have a lot of questions, but you have to take a faith that this is going to become big, and the process you will become a big. If and we, I was telling you that we we invest a lot of time and energy in making sure ONDC grows, because with that we also grow. So right, so which is a good thing about ONDC and networks like backend enabled networks, is that everyone comes together and starts building together. Very different from a platform approach kind of stuff.
I think to further this question, I think you've answered this, but I'll just take this question because it fits here. This is from Abdul Mateen, founder of WebTimate. He says we specialize in front end and app development. Any suggestions on how we can leverage ONDC to create software product? I think you are essentially talking about that right now. In case you want to add anything to it.
Yeah. So if you are a UI UX, anyone who is doing UI UX and web development, basically means that there are a lot of buyer apps which are coming, right? So you can go to them and say that I can help you in UI UX. Now, in ONDC, what happens? It is very location centric, right? So basically, everything starts with customer entering where I am, where, from which location I'm searching, right? Because then you will see products around you. So any app you go, any buyer app you go, basically the location is the first thing any buyer app will ask. What's your location, or they will auto detect whatever if you give them consent, right? So which means that the way the flows work are very, very different. The way the UI UX works will be very, very different. So you can build on, you can create, and good part is most of these will work similarly, right? So you can take a UI UX and do some tweak and also give it to others, right? Plus the most of these are interplay of these networks is creating what I'm not just doing e-commerce. I can also do fintech now, right?
Yeah.
So, Flipkart, for example, I'm just saying example, nothing specific here. Flipkart is doing e-commerce. Tomorrow they can come in ONDC and start doing fintech. So your UX exchanges, how your flows of the e-commerce will change, right? Lot of opportunity. I'm just giving example because you take UI UX. I'm taking that example.
Yeah. Makes sense. I think Manoj, we have covered everything that I wanted to cover personally in the session.
Sure.
I think that towards the last 10 minutes of the session, let us start taking up audience questions.
Sure.
I think a couple of questions were covered, so I'm going to just talk about. Somebody was asking about B2B transactions and integrating fintech. I think we have covered that in the session itself, so I'm not going to on that. Yeah, this looks like an interesting question. How is ONDC planning to launch the domain of hotel booking? First part of the question. I think more relevant for us right now is how them as an online aggregator can create an account to sell. Do you have any solution for it? I am Hamlet, the founder of mytravelly.com.
So basically, domain of hotel booking. So hotel booking is not yet live. So, but services, travel services, all those things will be very, very, will be live. I think sometime next year. So you should watch out for that whenever it goes live. Basically, if you're an aggregator, if you're a provider of anything, services, products, or lending, opportunities, or mutual funds, whatever you're providing, jobs, whatever you're providing, right? You in ONDC, the seller app, it can be primarily two. One is MSN, one is ISN. MSN is your multi-seller network participant, and ISN is your inventory seller, right? Inventory seller means I have the inventory. I own the product I'm selling, right? For example, D2C brand is a classic example. A D2C brands, they own the inventory and they're selling, right? Now, aggregators are primarily people like, for example, a hotel aggregator like Make My Trip. Make My Trip is aggregating these, kind of stuff, right? So they basically are called MSN. They're aggregators. So if you have anything which is aggregating supply, you can create an aggregate account. There's no challenge in that. And we have a solution because yes, it's part of the solution. Yes.
This answer was very relevant for anybody who's doing an aggregator model like Manoj was mentioning. Not just, I mean, hopefully ONDC will launch hospitality soon. Please keep a watch out for that. But meanwhile, if you're any aggregator, be it a food aggregator, an e-commerce aggregator, any kind of an aggregator, you can become ONDC, come on the ONDC network and start transacting. And obviously, Plotch has a solution that can help you get started in a jiffy. So feel free to check that out. I think a couple of people have been asking in the chat for some how does ONDC work and all of that. Like you said, that is not the agenda for this session, but there are a lot of concept papers available on the open networks and all of that itself. If you want to have links to them, I think my team has punched in the community link for us, like join Beckn Open Collective. It is a Discord server. Please join the community and feel free to ask for any kind of resources around Beckn or open networks or ONDC that you might like. That would really help in your research. I think a couple of students were asking that. One more thing that I would like to quickly get out of the way. Yes, this session is being recorded and it will be available on YouTube within the next 2-3 days of today. So yeah, in case you have missed it or joined in later, that shouldn't be a worry. Okay, so I think we have three more questions. Some of more technical questions. Having worked as omni-commerce development support for Find, we have made many extensions for GMC, Cred, Myntra, Ajio. Do we have a scope of building network extensions on top of ONDC? If yes, where can we find documentation, code base, or templates?
Yeah, so basically this is very relevant, and because we, as I said, we provide rails, right? Now rails are primarily which is driving the whole transaction pipeline, right? Now, but not everyone would want, to take the solution and say that but some may have a tool. Someone want to build a tool, like for example, someone want to build analytics on top of this rails, right? How much, where the pin, which pin code, how what searches are happening, parlay G is getting searched, how many times in which pin code and those kinds of stuff, right? So someone will want to build like a buyer side or seller side analytics platform, right? They can take the APIs, we provide, for example, we also one of the providers who we have a product called Node API, which basically you can take the APIs and consume that and build products on top of that, right? So extensions are there on both sides with through APIs. Now, of course, other things which we are seeing is that if someone is on SAP, someone is on Salesforce, someone is on Tally, someone is on, some point of sale, right? They want the sellers to be on that. They don't want to, bring that seller into, ONDC, into Plotch ecosystem, for example, right? So there's a host of connectors that we are building so that sellers even the tally, they're doing whatever they're doing. The products, inventory, everything is flowing through that, and orders can also flow back, right? So a lot of opportunities for building connectors to various ecosystem, because not everyone will be comfortable coming into a seller app and a buyer app, sorry, a seller app kind of ecosystem, right? So yeah, definitely there are a lot of opportunities there. Yes.
Great. I think the same person has asked another question. For the website integrations of ONDC, how would one achieve it?
Yeah, same thing, APIs. So let's say you have mobile app and you are already doing e-commerce. So we have examples like Misho already have a mobile app. But usually there's a three-phase journey. A lot of these people start with the web app, then they do redirection in the mobile app to the web app, and then they take APIs and build custom flows where they're showing ONDC, non-ONDC products seamlessly through a native experience kind of stuff, right? So yes, same thing applies here, that you build like a SDK or something like that. Again, it's like a connector, you can say that, which connects the ONDC rails and your mobile app to give that seamless experience. Yes.
Great. I hope that answers your question, Jimish. Uh, Anasuya asks, are there any overlay networks or protocols proposed on top of ONDC or Beckn? In my mind, at least such overlays could help in fintech use cases like border money over border outside of India money transactions.
See, we have not seen any example as of yet where someone you know has taken the ONDC core network and build overlays. It is. I think we are still in an early journey where we're still talking about connectors and SDKs and those kinds of stuff, right? To the what extent these overlays are, I think that needs to be discussed also and to be expanded upon. Uh, but yeah, it's still too early in my view for that.
However, I can't mention, I can't talk about, money transactions happening over cross borders or something. But there is a variation of Beckn available. You might want to check out OCEN protocol. It is a variation of Beckn protocol built for financial transaction, like money transfer. So yeah, I think fairly in early stages, but that is currently its focus is on credit, money lending and all of that, but feel free to check it out. Hopefully the use cases will expand in future, because since Beckn inherently is a resource sharing protocol, right? So I don't think why this use case can't be incorporated. And you as a person can also, since everything is open source, you can also kind of take basics of Beckn and build a variation of that protocol to service your use case. So yeah. I think if this was not brought out in the session earlier, Beckn's core specifications is completely open source and available on GitHub, all of it. So there are certain use cases that ONDC, UEI, and people are working on, but there is a plethora of more use cases waiting to be explored in every domain. So if you have something that you want to build upon, you don't really have to wait for ONDC to get started with it. You can, just form a network. You can be a network participant. You can work on the core spec, contribute, and the FIDE team, the backend team is always here to help you out. Some team, please attach the relevant GitHub and contribution links in the chat so that people who want to access can do that. Great. I think moving on to the next question. If there are 5 sellers selling the same item at the same price around the same location, how does the seller app decide whom should the order be given to?
Or basically, so there, any buyer app who is showing sellers, they have to publish their sorting criteria, because ONDC is a no bias network, and that's one of the promise that ONDC has. As a seller, it is not going to be like Amazon or Flipkart where someone gets pushed up and someone gets pushed down kind of stuff, right? So everything, but buyer apps have freedom to do sorting, but they have to publish at what, why are they doing it kind of stuff, right? So if there are five sellers who are selling the same product, right? It may be because of ratings that one of the top, someone is coming on the top and someone is going at the bottom. So ratings is a fair criteria to sort that, I only want to show best sellers and those kind of stuff, right? So price can be one. If price is same, that cannot be the criteria, right? Now distance is something which is core in ONDC. Even if they're in the same locality, someone is 100 meters, someone is 400 meters, 500 meters. So 100 meters one will come top of it because closest to one is always given a preference kind of stuff. Again, it's because logistics efficiency starts to come in. 100 meters is much less cheaper than 500 meters kind of stuff. So that's primarily a very short answer to this. I'm happy to expand more if there's need, but yeah.
I think there are more questions left, but in the sense of time, we are towards the end of the session. And I think Manoj also has some engagements, so we need to kind of let him go. This can go on forever. But rest assured, whatever questions you have, we already punched in our Discord community link. Please feel free to come onto the general channels and ask all your questions. I will ask Manoj to please, whenever he gets time, please come onto the Discord server and help our audiences.
Sure, definitely. No, I want to appreciate what Beckn is doing and what Beckn has done and what Beckn can actually, what's the new use cases which are coming so exciting, the energy initiative that is happening, right? I am able to buy, commodity nearby and honest, which has come up, with about jobs and skilling and scholarships. So just want to congratulate you and your team and what you have done. We are able to do a lot more things because Beckn is there at the core, right?
Thank you so much for doing this, taking out time and helping people understand how to build with ONDC quickly and faster. Like Manoj mentioned, there are various use cases. Hopefully, Manoj, I hope you become the biggest rail company for all backend enabled networks. That would be my, and helping enable the entire open network ecosystem and not just ONDC. So
No, definitely. A lot of opportunity, and thank you, Ansha, for doing it. And I know you have put a lot of effort, so thank you for that.
Yeah, it was super great. I hope a lot of people, I think, we tried to fit in a couple of things into the session. But if you have any more specific questions, you can either request us to please let us know in the community if you want a even more technical session just for the developers. The session was not done in keeping a development audience in mind. If that is the requirement, we're happy to do another session. And I think I'll let Manoj go now.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. It was great.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you so much for doing this. Bye.